here. Hi, this is Ed, and welcome back to Global Business News TV. Very special guests today are filing into the studio, what I call the global meeting room. Stephen Howard, author, award-winning author of Humany and the Leadership, and very active these days now doing in-person training across the country and virtually to India and beyond. And also Ken Lloyd, longtime friend, member of Global Press Club, thank you very much, and survived the LA firestorms and has been talking about that. I'm going to push the button and allow people to enter. Stand by. Okay, great. We're going to be joined by Haley. Haley and I have known each other a number of years. Hi, Haley. Welcome back. Okay. Everybody in? Yep. Okay. Good. Okay. Welcome. Haley, Fr Friary-Schenk. Did I say that right? That's
I think you're on mute, Haley.
no, Ed, I just heard you.
I just heard, so maybe you need.
I heard,
Yeah.
oh.
There you go.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, great.
Hear me?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Great. Okay, this is Haley, and she and I have known each other starting in the San Francisco area a long time ago. And she's been in Texas, in the San Antonio area now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Ken Lloyd is in LA, in Studio City, professor, Dr. Ken Lloyd, organization development. And Stephen Howard is author of 20, how many books? 28?
No, only 26.
Oh, 26.
Wow.
And very, very famous guy since he wrote the book about Humany, which is a combination of, harmonizing people and talent, experience. Stephen, could you take over and explain better than I just did?
Oh, well, humany is the word I created. Ken knows the story. He could probably tell as best as well as I can, but I combined the words human, humanity, and harmony, and it came to my thinking as I was contemplating how leadership was going to change coming out of the pandemic. So this is about 3 years ago, just before we came out of it, and realized that leadership needed to dramatically change, particularly the baby boomer leaders who going to enter a new world coming out of COVID, and people reevaluating the importance of the workplace and their life. But before we go on that, I'd like to share something with your audience, if I could. Today
Please.
is World Day for Cultural Diversity, and which is, as you know, really important to me, having lived outside the United States for almost my entire adult life. So I just want your audience to know that today, being May 21st and tomorrow being May 22nd, Ollie and I have put our book, Partnering Successfully with American Firms, which talks about intercultural dialogues and working together. We made it free on Kindle for today and tomorrow. So grab your copy, download it, and hopefully people will enjoy it and benefit from it.
That's great. Why don't you talk about the title, if you'd like to show the front cover, it's okay, and a slide.
Yeah, I'll bring it up. The title is Partnering Successfully with American Firms, and it's going to take me a moment to pull that up, but it's really about understanding the American business culture if you're a non-American. And it's interestingly, we aimed the book at the non-American audience, but after its publication, we quickly realized that 19% of the American workplace today was not born in the United States. And so it's really relevant for people who are living here, working in the American business culture, but maybe weren't born in the United States and therefore don't quite grasp the the intricacies of the American business culture. So that's what it is. And here is hopefully is the book coming up on your screen now.
Partnering successfully with American firms, how to work effectively with U.S. companies and business people. Ali Shami and Stephen Howard, authors. So in this book, there's chapter after chapter of examples, right?
Yeah, Ollie, as you know, Ollie spent, I think, 24 or 25 years as a senior manager at the Boeing company and had many different roles. But a lot of his roles were interacting with the company's airline customers outside the United States. So he's got some wonderful stories, and he really helped illustrate the key points of the book. I added a few of my own, as I said, having lived outside the United States for over 30 years now. But yeah, and I'll share one quick one for you. He had a gentleman from he was in Italy, and gentleman came running up to him and said, Ollie, I need your help. And Ollie said, what's wrong? I said, please read this email. I need to know why so-and-so's mad at me. And Ollie read the email, and it was somebody from the Boeing company who had replied to this gentleman at the Italian airline company. And it just replied to his request. It said, well, you've asked this question. Here's the answer. Here's the answer. And very typical American, right to the point. And Ollie says, no, he's not mad at you. Why do you think he's mad at you? And the guy says, he didn't say anything. He didn't say good morning. He didn't say, how are you? How's your family? There was nothing. I think he's angry at me. And so this is what the book is all about, is how different cultures do business in a different way. And the Italians and Latin Americans and others have more of a relationship approach to business. And, we Americans, like, time is money. Let's get to the point. So that's a good example of what the book is all about.
Thank you for sharing that. Ken, would you like to display the front cover of your book? If you can push that right button.
Yeah,
And
I think what I'll do, instead of just hold it up and see if we can get any focus here.
oh, yeah, it's a little unfocused.
They're almost there.
It's the dummies book. It's oh, you do it even better. Performance appraisals and phrases for dummies. It's the new edition of a book that I wrote for the Wiley folks back in, oh gosh, 15 years ago. And since a lot has happened with performance appraisals in 15 years, they had asked me to write a new and updated version, which I did. Getting far more forward focused, continuous feedback, more than one appraisal a year, focused on employee development, employee growth, coaching, and really making it a far more productive, two-way interactive process. It's not designed to be a disciplinarian or an authoritarian, rather a partner, working with the employees on your team regularly, openly, fairly, to help them grow and learn and develop, and along the way, perform more effectively, generate that much more satisfaction as well as productivity. It includes over 3,300 phrases just to help those who are doing the evals, maybe trying to think, what do I really say in the area of collaboration, or what do I really say in the area of whether it's performance, productivity, and other new topics as well, just to give them some additional tools to help managers with the process. So that's really where it is. It was a fun book to write. I enjoy it. I like the topic. I like anything that's focusing on employee development, which is really what this is. And so it's out there. It came out in December, and definitely enjoy having that in the marketplace and working with people on this topic.
I invited Ali to join us, and he did say that he'd be coming, but he's obviously been delayed. So I also want to say that Ken has been in the past and C-suite with a very large company and has hands-on experience. He's also been a New York Times syndicated columnist for 20 years. So what was the theme of your column?
Well, can I say one thing even prior to? I have to say it. Haley, congratulations.
Yeah.
I read about your wonderful honor, and it's just, I'd feel badly not saying something about it. It is absolutely fantastic, and obviously well deserved. But
We're leading up to this
yeah,
crescendo here.
Thank
yeah,
you.
Haley
yeah. It's,
Haley has been elected to I'm going to read this, elected to membership into the Honor Society of Phi Kappa Phi. And tell us about that. Thank you, Ken.
Wow, it's kind of it was exciting and quite a surprise. So Ken and Steve, you don't know anything about my background. I was a chief people officer, chief human resources officer in the high tech industry for almost 20 years. I've done 3 IPOs, large public mergers and acquisitions, worked at Apple. And my last company here ended up undergoing a little bit of a contraction. So I made the decision to take a strategic pause, and rather than jumping into a new executive role, I took the opportunity to close what for me was a personal loop, and that was completing my degree. I happened to be in the Silicon Valley at the right time during the tech boom and bust. I was in school the whole time, but my jobs kept getting bigger and bigger and global travel. So Steve, I can totally relate to everything that you're saying about your book. Absolutely, having worked all over the world. And so rather than jumping back into an executive position, I decided to go back to school and finish my undergrad at Penn State. And I graduated just 2 weeks ago with my BS in organizational leadership. Just started my master's program in corporate innovation and entrepreneurship. But as a result of all of this, Ed knows me very well. I'm a very driven person and a very ambitious person, so I don't undertake things very lightly. So when I went back to school, it was always with the goal in mind of doing the very best that I could. And along the way, I ended up with some accolades that I didn't expect. Phi Kappa Phi was one of them. It is it's considered a top academic recognition because it's across all disciplines. It's not just one discipline. A lot of honor societies are just one discipline. It is invitation only, and they only choose the top 10% of graduating seniors and grad students. At Penn State, I was fortunate enough to graduate magna cum laude. I missed Summa by 0.2. Dang, statistics class was my nemesis. It was, but that was when I did my AS. So I was really pleased to get the invitation for this honor and find out that it's very much aligned with my own core beliefs. The motto for Phi Kappa Phi is "Let the love of learning rule humanity." And I have been a lifelong learner, as you know, Ed, whether it's pursuing my SPHR, GPHR, my SHRM, all of the accreditations. I've also been a huge proponent of lifelong learning. So for me, this is it's an exciting moment, and it speaks to a kind of a point where my curiosity, my resilience, and determination to complete my degree was met. So this is just like the ice. This is icing on the cake. I'm hoping to be able to re-enter the workforce at some point in time. This has been an energizing chapter of my life, but I'm at now a crossroads, and Ken, I'm probably gonna want to reach out to you afterwards because I have some interest in moving into academia. I have a really, after going through what I've gone through and what I've seen, I really believe that we need educators at higher academia that have had actual work experience beyond theory, because in my own classes, I'm thinking, well, this is great, but this isn't really what happens after you get out in the real world. So I believe that there's a need there for some reality and for some application of all of these theories to a real practice. Going back to Phi Kappa Phi, there's some really famous members of Phi Kappa Phi I wasn't aware of. I had never even heard of the society when I was nominated. You've got to be nominated by your university in order to be considered. Jimmy Carter is a member, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, John Glenn, Hillary Clinton, Peyton Manning. I loved him. Condoleezza Rice, David Baldacci, and I think President Dwight Eisenhower's brother. There's some really interesting people. Poet laureates, Nobel laureates. So I feel really honored, and it's just now it's now sinking in, kind of.
This is really amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And I certainly want to hear more. I know our audience out there does too. So did you go to Penn State or did you do it virtually?
I did it virtually, although I went to campus several times. And I
Yeah.
actually walked. I went and walked with my class, 2,000 people in the liberal arts college. So that was a lot of fun. But I do go to campus regularly. I mean, regularly, I'd say probably quarterly, I go to campus. And I chose Penn State for a couple of reasons. Penn State was one of the only schools that had a Bachelor of Science in organizational leadership. And I had already done an associate's in science, and I'm a science-minded person, having worked in technology, and I wanted to maintain that Bachelor's of Science. And there's a little bit of a nostalgia there. Penn State was one of my grandfather's favorite schools. So even though I was born in Ohio, I could not go to Ohio State.
Hey, Haley, was Dr. Ralph Oliva one of your instructors by chance?
No, he was not. What does he teach?
He's actually the director for the Institute of Study of Business Markets at Penn State, and he's an old colleague of mine from Texas Instruments days.
Oh my gosh, is he teaching? Is he at grad school level or?
Yeah, he's definitely at the grad school level. Yeah.
So I have not met him yet because I just started grad school, but I will look
Okay.
I will definitely look for him.
He may have retired by now, so I haven't talked to him
Oh,
about 2 years or 3 years. That's why I was curious. It'd make it a very small world if he was.
Ken?
how do you spell his last name? I'll look him up.
It's Ralph Oliva, Oliva.
Oliva. Okay, I'll look him up and I'll let you know.
Yeah, he's professor of marketing at the Smeal College of Business, and
Yeah, I'm at Smeal, so I should be able to find out really easily.
okay. If
Oh,
you do,
that's exciting.
okay.
Ken, Ken should tell you more about himself. PhD and years of experience, hands-on experience in an apparel company. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. Haley, I totally relate to what you're saying about having some real world experience before teaching. When I got my PhD from UCLA, I was 26 years old and I had
Wow.
the opportunity to go into various academic positions. And I decided not to because my work experience prior to that, well, I had worked in a toy store in high school. I'd been a camp counselor. I had been a TA. But I didn't really know enough. I knew all the, if you will, the academic stuff, the research, which is great. But I figured, no, I'm going to go and work and get some actual real world experience, and then combine it. So I did that for several years. I went to work for a consulting firm and ultimately for my own consulting practice. And along the way, once I had that kind of experience in companies, virtually all industries that one can imagine, then I was able to go back and teach far more effectively than I would have been able to without it. So I totally relate to what you're saying. In my background, I went to Berkeley undergrad, Berkeley in the 60s. Okay.
Wow.
Little different back
Parents
then.
wouldn't let me go there.
Yeah, it was just a brief commute across the bay. Grew up in San Francisco, so go Bears. And I'll also say go Nittany Lions, because I have to say that because
Yeah.
you went to Penn State. Then I went to UCLA for grad school and then went into consulting for several years, had my own consulting practice, and ultimately joined one of my client firms, a manufacturer of medical apparel, and came in as what was called the VP of Employee Planning and Development and HR in that organization. I don't like the expression reported to me, but if you look at a chart, they did, but worked with HR throughout, and a wonderful director of HR back there, and a really solid team. One thing about the director, when I hired her, she came in as a coordinator, and I could see super high potential. And she said, I'm very interested in growing and advancing. Long story short, she got her PHR, she got her bachelor's degree, she moved up from being a coordinator to an administrator to a manager to the director of HR and diversity over the 18 years I was with the company. It's really what I believe in. People want to have the opportunity to learn and grow. I want to help them do that and get to their goals. So along the way, in addition to being with that firm for 18 years, I've written several business books. I always enjoyed writing from way back. Most recent being this book on really performance appraisal, some phrases for dummies. But I had done books. You can tell I must really like people because I did the KISS Guide to Selling. That KISS is part of the Keep It Simple, Stupid series. I did a book called Jerks at Work, and also I think Jerks, Simple, Dummies. But I do like people. It's just the titles just came out that way. I was fortunate to do a book with my daughter on the workplace and weight gain, which I really enjoyed writing. Did a very research based on how jobs are contributing to a tendency for employees to gain some weight. But anything dealing with people at work has been my interest all the way back to the days in high school when I worked in a toy store. So although I couldn't use a whole lot of that experience when I was teaching at grad school and undergrad, but that was just part of the path that I've been on. And as certainly as Ed mentioned, I had a newspaper column for around 20 years, 10 years of which were syndicated by the New York Times Syndicate, basically dealing with employee issues at work, where people could write in about anything they're dealing on, any people problem. And I really enjoyed trying to help people in that way. I'd put the more read-worthy columns in the paper, in the news, what were called newspapers back then. And the others I would just communicate individually and independently with anyone that contacted me, just to get back to them on their questions, even if they didn't make it into print.
So Haley, your daughter, Allie, couldn't be with us today. It's too bad. I wanted her to get into agility. Remember that TV show the three of us did? So,
Wasn't Ollie there too?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
Ollie
that's
was
right.
there. It was Ollie and Allie.
Yeah. ALY versus ALI.
Uh-huh.
So tell us about agility in view of your academic achievement.
That's actually an interesting question. So what I would say about agility, and what I would say about what I've just gone through and completed, there was not a lot of focus on agility or really how the workplace is changing and has changed. I expect to see more of that in this master's program, especially since it's dealing with corporate innovation and entrepreneurship. Um, Agile for some, it's not utilized by all companies. It's used by a lot of companies, but most of those companies are very big Fortune 500s. My Allie is also taking a look at the changing landscape, because as we all know, technologies and theories and they change and they move along. And Kaizen was important at one point in time. Six Sigma and Agile may end up going this same route as those, as another theory of managing a workforce changes. So she's taking a look into that. I can't say that it came a lot into play. I would say that I probably used it myself in focusing my studies and my schedule in order to get the most out of it. So I was able to tap into those premises of simplifying things into smaller tasks. I wish it had been something that had been taught, but like I said, that might be more of a master's level focus than an undergrad.
What about this issue of total care of employees as an extension of the university system inside companies? Stephen has commented on that about caring for talent, not chasing them away or not managing them, micromanaging. I'm sure you've had that recent experience.
I would say yes, definitely the landscape has changed, and those of us who've studied leadership for a number of years have seen the shift over 100 years of leadership theory. And it's interesting that there was so much focus on leadership, and I really believe, and I saw it in my own work experience, that when the world changed in 2018, 2019, DEI became much more important in the workplace, COVID, that sort of thing. The focus on employees and the followers versus the leaders became much more important. You are seeing that. I am seeing that. It is being discussed. I think that there's a lot more, hopefully there's research going on now. I think there's a lot more research that can be done, because it's almost as if the power dynamic has shifted between leaders and followers. I mean, you could say there are things like servant leadership, which is supposed to be more focused on the nurturing and growth of the employee, or transformational leadership, which I believe I spoke to in one of your sessions before. I'm a big proponent of authentic and transformational leadership. That is my style. But you're seeing this kind of equalizing of the followers and the leaders. I mean, the followers are almost dictating what type of leadership that they're looking for, and leadership is now forced to respond. Whereas before it was more tops down, now I'm seeing it as more bottoms up and employee influence. I'd love to hear what Stephen and Ken have seen or heard or think about that. But it is definitely what I've experienced in the workplace since 2018.
Steve?
Yeah, I would add to that, Haley, one other component to it is to be an effective leader today, you have to lead each person uniquely, because they're all unique. The old way of everyone having the same rules, the same procedures, the same everything, it doesn't work. And so you have to, and that comes back to kind of Ed's comment on agile a little bit too, is that look, for some people, they need flexibility. They need flexibility either in their work hours or where they work from or their work days. And other people, some people thrive on going into an office place and sitting around and chewing the fat with their colleagues and then having conversations. And as a leader now, you have to figure out where their strengths are and leverage their strengths, which is the other thing I think has changed. Too much of people development in the past has been, let's identify where someone's weak and let's help them fix that. And I advocate, let's identify where people are strong, leverage their strengths, and use those strengths to close gaps that they might have, or let's hire to close gaps. So one of the smartest things I ever did was realizing when I was at Citibank as a VP of marketing that I needed a research person, and that was a gap area for me. So I hired some rather than me go learn to go do market research and write a market research questionnaire, which is an art. I can interpret research very well, but writing a research questionnaire is a skill. And so I hired from my gap. And people don't do that today because they won't admit that they have gaps as a leader. So kind of threefold things. Understand what your gaps are as a leader and admit that, being authentic about what your gaps are. Leverage people's strengths to help them close gaps. And you're going to have to lead everybody individually, uniquely.
Yeah.
Ken?
And so I remember in the very first management class that I took, here are the 5 principles of management: plan, organize, staff, control, and direct. Those were the words. Can you imagine? It is the exact opposite of effective leadership today, which Stephen and Haley both have mentioned how important it is to understand the individual, to help our individuals learn, grow, develop, be more successful, help them as they move along the path toward their career goals. And people say, well, what's the best way to lead? And there is no one best way to lead.
Oh.
It certainly depends upon, the big word would be the situation, highly situational. You know, if I'm the captain of the Titanic, my leadership style is going to be different when we're off the coast of some beautiful balmy sea, or we're facing an iceberg. It's going to be different. The situation, the resources, the people, the players, the timing, all of that enters into it, and all with the underpinning of learning about our employees as individuals, and as you both mentioned, understanding ourselves as individuals as well. It's okay to have areas where we don't have all the strength in the world. It's not a lack of anything to say, hey, look, I need to build in this area. I'm going to hire for these strengths, as Stephen mentioned, bringing in a researcher. And it's really a sign of confidence when people say, this is not my strongest area. I can work to build it, or these are the real areas where I've got some proficiency and can make major contributions to the organization. But it's understanding ourselves, understanding our team, and building from there. And this whole notion, and Stephen Howard has said it before, of going out and directing people is not what we're out there doing. And Stephen, I'll let you say your favorite phrase. People don't get up in the morning and turn it over to Stephen.
No one wakes up in the morning and says, I can't wait to be managed by my boss. And I've never, ever heard anyone ever say, I can't wait to be micromanaged today.
You know what? That's a great segue into something that I've been thinking about recently as I'm going through all of these studies and the theories, right? Separating leadership from management, right? We've been told for a long time, leadership is different than management. Management is task-based. Leadership is more influential, right? I happen to think, and nowadays, and I know in my own positions, even as a chief people officer, I'm expected to be an individual contributor. So the idea that you are at the C-level and all you do is lead is not true. I think every job that you have a team, it's a component, like you said, it's situational, that there are sometimes that you will lead and influence, and there are other times that you will manage to get that task done and that work done and that organization in place. That is very much HR, because HR has so many different components of things that we have to line up and have to be in place for compliance. Well, when you're leading that entire function, both of those things sit in your camp. So you have to be able to move. Here's where agility comes in, Ed, really. You have to have the social and emotional agility to move between leadership and influencing and management while not losing your followers. That's the other thing. I think it's a very difficult dance. You can't press too hard on one thing or let your foot off too much on another.
So Haley, my comment to you is that I agree with you totally. And we don't want to separate managerial responsibilities from leadership responsibility. So it's not managing versus leadership. It should be managing plus leadership, or actually I would do it the other way. I'd say leadership plus managing. And, you know, hopefully, depending where you are in the organization, but hopefully you're leading people 80, 85% of your time, and you're managing people 10 or 15% of the time. And when it comes to human resources, you know, people don't want to be managed. They want to be led. They want to be empowered. They want to be motivated. They want to be trusted. They want to be given
Yes.
opportunities to grow their skill sets and their decision-making capabilities. I mean, we're hiring people for their brains more than their hands these days.
Absolutely.
So develop their decision-making capabilities in there. So yeah, so those are kind of the thoughts that come from the book Humany Leadership, and that word of humany that we talked about earlier.
Absolutely agree. I mean, the best thing that we can do is to empower our teams. And the way that I look at it when I'm managing a team is I'm raising the next level of HR leadership because someone's going to come after me. It's always succession planning. Find what people are good at. People always do better at the things that they're good at. Sometimes they don't even realize those areas that they display talent. But once you help them tap into that passion and give them the opportunity to utilize it, I think there's a lot to be said for trust. You know, that's important to followers. They're trusted, that you trust them to make decisions, that you give them the latitude and the birth to make mistakes, and that they feel comfortable coming to you if there is a mistake, and having the ability to tell them, you know what, it's okay to make mistakes. Oh my God, all the mistakes I've made. Those are the things you learn from the most painful ones. We all know that. So I'm in total agreement.
We
So
have under 10 minutes remaining. So I'd like to just zero in, Haley, and everybody, about with the back to the office thing getting stronger. It's not going to be 100%. It shouldn't be. But what would you do if you were back in a company now? Would you have an all hands meeting? Would you have it on Zoom or a big auditorium and talk about your hands-on experience getting your degree and being admitted into this super special fraternity? But what did you learn from that? What would you tell the people in the audience, in the employees?
Wow.
Step one, step two, I'm going to help you develop. And how would you just say it just like I did, or just be open?
I think probably the way that I would say it is that we don't always have the same paths in life. Uh, some people are very fortunate to be able to go right out of high school and experience 4 years of education. Others aren't. Life leads them in different directions. Life leads us all in different directions. I would tell anyone, be open to the opportunities that are put in front of you, because sometimes they can lead you to really unique places. My journey was absolutely not traditional. I didn't ever expect to go into human resources. It just kind of landed in my lap and took off. And then I would explain, this is what I did. And I had this moment in my career when I had a company that was not doing as well as expected, but that's happened a lot in the past couple of years. And I had the good fortune to be able to pivot and focus on something else, which was continuous learning. And I would definitely highlight continuous learning. Learn everything you can, any opportunity that you're given to try something new, to step outside your comfort zone, to work in a different area. I'm a big proponent of job rotation. If you can, if that'll work in your organization. So I think that that's what I would focus on. I really do believe that you never stop learning. There's always more to learn, and it just makes you a better human being, makes you a better leader, makes you a better human being. Don't ever quit. Don't ever stop.
It's a matter of agility.
Yes, it is. And you're right. It keeps coming back to agility, right? An open mindset, curiosity, drive, passion.
Ken, it sounds like a book coming, right?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Haley, when you write it, I'm buying it. Put me on the list. And I won't even have to wait till the free day comes along. I'll actually pay for it.
Help me think of a title. My husband keeps telling me, you need to write a book. You need to write a book.
Yeah, with what you've experienced in your career path and what you've done, it wouldn't just be talking about it, but it's real. It's based, this is what can be done. This is what I did. And I kind of like it, the non-traditional path to success. And that's what you've taken. And I think it's wonderful, but it's real. This is not just some theoretical thing, find your goals, establish them, put together a career plan. Here's what I did. Here's something for you to think about. And I think that would be really helpful to readers, young and old. I mean, I think that's really the interesting aspect of it. And it is a life learning process as we continue in our careers. It's easy to think, well, I've got all this education, these classes and all, but no, it's continuous. And as we've talked about before, this includes taking the time to read. Reading is so important, to have a real love for it, and not just nonfiction. You don't have to read all the technical books. Fiction is great. I mentioned on one of these programs that there's studies that show that reading fiction actually helps our brains. It helps memory development because we have to keep all the characters and what's going on and their interactions and who's saying what. It's actually very good mentally for us, as well as to learn about different experiences and lives and paths and so forth. But yeah, I'm looking for that book, Haley. I want to see it soon, but don't rush it.
So this show is nonfiction and unscripted. So I want to make sure that you know that Stephen is an expert at helping people write books.
And I'm a proponent of more women writing books. In fact,
Oh, that's awesome. God, we just joined the absolute right session, right?
I'm writing an article right now. Somebody on Medium, very, very good article about a month ago, listed 150 top leadership books to be read. And it was a great list. He missed one. I told him to add one to it, but I analyzed that list, 150 books, less than 20 were written by women. And there were like another 8 or 9, I have to look at my notes again, 8 or 9 where women were co-authors, and not once was the woman the lead author. She was one of the co-authors. I don't want to say added on, but some of these were from like McKinsey type companies or whatever, where the woman made a great contribution. But I'm advocating for women need a bigger voice in leadership, and I want to help more women publish books on leadership. So when you're ready, we'll talk.
I think that's great. And the other aspect of my journey through leadership is that oftentimes, my whole career, I've been in technology. I have often been the only female at the executive table.
Yeah.
And without a degree. I had not finished my degree. So trying to earn my seat at the table, I'm happy. I think, Ed, you've heard me say this before. I grew up between 2 brothers. So I knew how to speak the language of men. And I knew how to hold my own because I had to. So I think that helped me in my own journey. But I also think that that's something important for women to hear.
It is.
I'm looking at a picture right now of one of my IPOs, and it's literally me standing in the middle of 19 male executives. I am the only female. So it can be done. It can be done. I'm proof that it can be done.
There's the other title for your book.
Ah, I like it.
It can be done.
It
Yeah.
can be done.
Well,
Anyway,
you
Haley, I
better
sent
write
you-
that down.
Oh, I think that's a subtitle, right? Non-traditional path to success. It can be done.
No, I do it the other way. I do it the other way around. It can be
Oh.
done non-traditional paths. But anyway, that's me.
Oh, okay.
I sent you, Haley, a note with 2 books for your research on direct message here in chat. So
Oh, awesome.
So I want to say thank you for blessing me with your presence in this wonderful conversation. It will go worldwide in the coming weeks and months subsequent to today, and you'll, of course, get a copy of it quickly. Not today, though. Joanne and I are about to get in the car and drive to Phoenix and go visit Stephen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I thank you for being on the show. It's been a smart session for sure.
Thank you. Thanks for including me.
congratulations again. Great honor.
Oh, thank you so much. And it was a pleasure meeting both of you. Let's all link on LinkedIn. I'm so happy to meet you both. Ed, you're just a master at bringing people together.
Wouldn't happen if I didn't have all this power. It doesn't come from me. It comes from you guys and others. And thank God for Zoom. It's so easy for me. Most of the time. All right. Thank you all. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank
Great
you.
day.
All right. This is Ed
Congrats
signing
again.
off from San Diego, although it looks like Palm Desert, doesn't it? But see you tomorrow in Phoenix. Thank you.